All right, so today's video I'm going to be talking about an autistic life hack in the form of how to make people stop staring at you, or basically how to avoid eye contact. So to begin with, I will explain why I think it is so difficult for people who are on the autism spectrum to make eye contact, especially prolonged eye contact. And to do that, I will be taking a metaphysical lens. I'm talking about something called quantum entanglement. Now, for those of you who do not know what quantum entanglement is a principle of quantum physics that basically says when you observe something, you change it, you become a part of it, you become entangled with it. So there's a experiment called the twin slit experiment where there are particles that are being fired and they behave one way, and then when there is an observer observing the particles behave as waves instead of particles, or something to that effect. But the point is, this is a part of how the universe functions. You know, you can tell when somebody is staring at you, even if you're not looking at them, you'll feel it. And basically, this is them becoming entangled with you through their observation, and you having a sense of the fact that you are being observed. Anyway, so therefore, I think a lot of the time it is difficult for people who are on the autism spectrum to be observed. You know, we kind of like to remain in our own spaces. We kind of like to avoid unnecessary intrusion into our inner worlds. And maybe that can be true for a lot of neurotypical people as well, but I think that people who do have autism are a bit more sensitive when it comes to these things. But anyway, so, you know, with that out of the way, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you how it is that you can make people stop staring at you. So, in order to do that, I will talk about another principle, which is called the psychopathic stare. And this is basically a sort of look that people who are supposedly sociopathic and or psychopathic have that seems to make people uncomfortable, as if they are looking into your soul or something like that. Now, as I just explained, because of the principle of quantum entanglement, it is obvious why an intense gaze would make somebody uncomfortable. But you may be thinking to yourself, you know, I already don't want people staring at me, so how is it helpful to know about a, you know, stare that is really intense and prolonged or whatever? And that is the point. So basically, if you want people to stop staring at you and eye contact makes you uncomfortable, all you really have to do is just stare. Just stare. Stare at somebody. Stare into their soul. Just look directly at them, like you're analyzing them and trying to figure them out. And maybe you are, because I mean, I like people watching. But anyway, the point is, by utilizing this fake psychopathic stare, other people will be so uncomfortable that they will consciously avoid your gaze, which means they're no longer staring at you because you're staring at them. And if you do it enough, they will start to unconsciously avoid your gaze altogether, because if every time they think to look at you, you're giving them this stare, you're kind of training them to avoid looking in your direction. Now, this is useful also because I have, I don't know, have I observed this or have I heard this? I'm not exactly sure, but if you don't know the answer, if you're in school, right? If you don't know the answer to a question and the teacher is looking around for people to call on, if you try to avoid the teacher's gaze, they're going to call on you 9 out of 10 times. Like if you try to, look uninterested, disinterested, whatever, they're going to call on you, like for certain. But if you use the stare and you look directly at the teacher, like, yeah, that's right, they are going to call on someone else. So if you don't know the answer, you should make sure to direct your psycho stare at them. But anyway, let me see, did I have any more points that I wanted to cover? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You get the gist of it. If you want to avoid people staring at you, then stare at them. Now, there is one issue, and that is this only works if the person has a relatively neutral feeling towards you, because if someone likes you, then they're probably going to be more likely to meet your gaze because they want to become entangled with you. You see how this works? And if someone dislikes you, actively dislikes you, then they're like, why the fuck is this motherfucker staring at me? Like, do they want to fight? So, it kind of works when somebody's just coming from a neutral position, right there in the middle. But in general, it should work on most people if you simply just direct your gaze at them unwaveringly in an intense way. Most people are going to look away because they don't want to be known either, So, yeah. Yep. But anyway, this is your autism life hack for today. I guess you could call it a general psychology hack, because it does work for anybody. Yep. So keep it cool.